Reason the same place that the Christians worship is the same place in the afternoon the Muslims will come and do their prayers. One of the crimes that are coming up has to do with fraud and rape. There has been a lot of exposure. Ladies are exposing themselves and it's attracting bad eyes. And people are committing crimes here and there. Society will have peace of mind if you are able to reintegrate everybody. Everybody is safe in society to go about their business and all that safely.
Hi there, it's good to see you again on this edition of Daily Connect. My name is Na Anyema Collison and you're welcome to today's conversation. I'm seated in the office of the Chaplain General of the Ghana Prisons Service in the person of Adp Rev'D Canon Selwyn Okai. We'll be talking about matters relating to crimes, among other things, in the Christian or the religious life of inmates in all prisons across the country. When I come back, we'll start our conversations. Please do stay. For staying with us. As I said earlier, I'm seated with the Chaplain General of the Ghana Prison Service in the person of Adp Rev'D Canon Selwyn Okai. In this conversation, we're going to understand why the religious life of inmates in all prisons in Ghana is very important, because he takes charge of their religious affairs. Hello, Canon. Canon, tell us about yourself and what you do here.
Okay, I am Reverend Canon Selwyn Okai, as Na has mentioned, and I'm responsible for the chaplaincy activities in the Ghana Prison Service, and I am Chaplain General of the Ghana Prison Service, or the Chief Religious Affairs Officer of the prisons. I supervise over 47 prisons, which includes the prison headquarters itself. And I also supervise the Christian, the Muslims, and the traditional religion as well. We have not gotten to that point where Ghana will have the other Asian religions among the religious persuasions in the prisons. But for now, we are doing the Christian, the traditional, and we have 16 chaplains, full-time chaplains, with 4 imams. What we are looking at is that the time will come when we will have chaplains and imams in all the 47 prison establishments. And that's where we are at the moment. We are projecting that. Apart from that, we have what we call the chaplaincy assistants, prison officers who are of junior rank, and some of them who have been ordained by other churches, who assist in the places that we don't have the full-time chaplains. And so they are on the ground. So we have over 600 of them who fall under our umbrella. The third group of people are the volunteers from the churches, the para churches, and other the voluntary organizations who come periodically to come and do ministry in the prison. They all fall under the chaplaincy. And they are close to over 100,000 people who, so every year we give them, they come in with a permit, yearly permit, a permit that is renewed every year. So this is how the statistics is, that we are able to manage the religious affairs because with all these people harnessing their resources together.
Let's stay away from the people that are involved in managing the religious affairs of inmates here and shift the focus to what sort of crime, or between murder, theft, and then one other one is
fraud.
Between murder, theft, and fraud, which one is a prevalence and why is it so?
Oh, in fact, theft has always been on top of the list in Ghana. But one of the crimes that are coming up has to do with fraud and rape. It's becoming so prevalent. That is the reason why we are doing programs that we will go to the basic schools and the secondary schools and the universities to talk about crime and its the related consequences. Yeah. So surprisingly, we are having a lot of crime related to fraud and rape. I don't know what is happening. Maybe our sisters and our aunties and our mothers and our grandmothers need to do something about it. Because the reason that a lot of people are giving is that there has been a lot of exposure. Ladies are exposing themselves and it's attracting bad eyes. And people are committing crimes here and there. So maybe for now, that's what it looks like.
Okay. So rape comes on top, then theft before we have murder.
Still theft, but closely following is fraud. There is 419 issues and then rape. They are close to each other.
I see. Let's talk about interfaith dialogue, since that is your part. That is the area that you are designated to. Given that the diversity of religious beliefs among inmates, how do you facilitate interfaith dialogue and understanding within the prison's community?
In fact, our main mandate is to ensure safe custody. And in ensuring safe custody, the law enjoins us as much as we can to ensure reformation, reintegration, and rehabilitation. These are so crucial to us because society will have peace of mind if you are able to reintegrate everybody. Everybody is safe in society to go about their business and all that safely. Now, what we encounter is that we are faced with people of diverse religious background who have been convicted into prisons. And these are the people we need to take care of. For example, we have 76% of inmates in the Ghana prisons being Christians. We have about 14% being Muslims. The rest are either traditionalists or people who don't believe anything, atheists, if I should put it that way. And so what we do is to make sure that we dialogue, and you will see it among us. And especially when I was inducted, you saw that one of my deputies is the imam. He's now the chief imam of the Ghana Prison Service.
Okay.
We do things together. We share the same office. At times you come and see us eating together. There are times when the Muslim will tell me, today it's not time for you people to go home because tonight you have revival. It's so amazing for you see a reverend father telling imam that, hey, it is now time for Juma. So that's how we have lived. So it has been extended to the Muslims and Christian communities among the inmates. The inmates had leaders, Christian leaders and Muslim leaders. And you'll be amazed when they come together every month, once every month, to plan for activities, especially as we are getting to the end of the year. The religious groups come together, their leadership come together to plan for the end of the year activities. And so it has been so cordial. We have never experienced any time where we have conflict between Christians and Muslims. We hardly experience that in our prisons because of the way we have fashioned our religious activities to be. In some of the prisons, the same place that the Christians worship is the same place in the afternoon the Muslims will come and do their adua. And how do you call it? Their prayers. The Juma and all that. The same place, the same shed, the same common hall. And so we have lived in peace. Quite recently we went around, and among the things we were sharing the butters for the Muslims to go and ablution. I'm a Christian. I'm not supposed to give a Muslim a mat, but I'm sending a message to them that we are brothers before our religions comes in. We are together. We are one people with a common destiny.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you see inmates with special grace? That is, do you even have inmates that are gifted with prophecy? Do you have inmates that are prophets, inmates that can sing, inmates that they have special gifts in maybe during service or when prayers are going on? Do you have any of them?
We have a lot. I can tell you that we have Bible schools in our prisons.
Okay.
And a lot of inmates sign up to become pastors, Bible students. And I keep telling people, when I was at James Fort Prison, the one that had been closed down in Accra Central, one of the wonderful sermons, life-changing sermon that I've heard was by a prisoner. And I was seated there just listening to this sermon from the prisoner. I was asking myself, wow. And this prisoner has so much grace, and that even in the sermon, people were falling down under the anointing of God. This prisoner has come out. He has one of the largest churches in the Volta region.
That's good news.
Yes.
How easy or difficult is it for you to identify these special gifts?
You see, when God gives you grace, you can't hide it. And the Lord directs us to the people with that grace. People just start praying or start preaching. You see, you can tell. The Spirit of the Lord tells you that this one has a special grace. I've seen a prisoner touch somebody, an officer, a prisoner touched an officer during a revival, and the officer fell under the grace, and there was deliverance. That officer is not a Christian. He's an outdoor worshiper, but the prisoner just walked to him, touched him, just without saying anything. And he fell under the anointing.
So due to the special grace of God,
Yes.
it's pretty much easier to identify these
Yes.
things. Share with me your memorable or powerful moments that since April 2022 that you were inducted, or you will keep this for the rest of your life as a chaplain general in your day-to-day activity here?
Quite recently, I had the privilege of touring the Northern Belt. When I talk about the Northern Belt, we are talking about all the way from Wa to Kumasi of Ghana. And we went around some of the prisons. And I was amazed at Tamale Central Prison. When I was preaching, a Muslim imam was interpreting me. He was doing the interpretation in Dagoma. In fact, I couldn't believe. I don't understand their language, but it was like he was saying exactly what I had said. And for me, in that terrain, where in that prison we have about 50% of them being Muslims, to see their imam interpreting a Christian, preaching a sermon, it was amazing. I was so touched, and with that, I keep saying it everywhere I go. And you'll be amazed that a number of Muslims gave their life to Christ. When we call for, we did an altar call. You see, first it was the imam who was interpreting and was saying exactly what I have said. Then, altar call, he was interpreting me. And many of his people came forward. That is phenomenal. I was so touched by that experience. Another one was when I was walking in town, and somebody was shouting my name and giving praise to God, and he said I was in prison. So if you don't remember me, I was in prison at Winneba, and you came there to preach, and you said that it was telling me exactly. He said Joseph was taken from prison and became a prime minister. He said that message was a message for him because he thought that the prison, being in prison, has shattered his dream. He can't do anything anymore. He's finished. But he held on to that sermon that I preached. He has never forgotten. He said he has never forgotten my face and the sermon that I preached in Winneba prison. So when he went out, he said that I am Joseph. His name too was Joseph. I am going to be the prime minister, the best of myself. And today, he's a proud owner of 3 filling stations. He has 5 tankers. You know tanker?
Yes.
Yes, he has 5 of them. He's become a business tycoon. He said, that sermon blessed me. So for me, what again do I look for to see lives change and transform? And that is the reason why my bishop sent me here.
Special thanks to his Lord Bishop, Right Reverend Dr. Carlos, he's also Selwyn as Mensa Toto, the Diocese Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Accra. In all this, I just want to ask you again if, as a chaplain general, there are some special things you've been able to introduce since April 2022 that you came into office. What are the interventions that you've brought on board to enhance the religious lives of inmates in prisons?
Okay. We have done a lot. Quite recently, we had a conference. You could see from the pictures on the wall. We had a conference bringing all the chaplaincy assistants and everybody together at a celebratory retreat center, where we came out with a plan. The government is doing its best for the Ghana Prison Service, but we have the mandate to go out into the churches, the mosques, and everywhere to solicit for help for the prisons. In every sphere of life, especially in Africa, prison has been neglected for a long time. And it even affects the officers who are taking care of the inmates. Because society feel that they have been hurt, they have been hurt by the inmates. So they should be there and be punished to pay for their crimes. You see, the thing is that if you don't reform them and they come back, they will come again. And that is the reason why we as chaplains, we felt that we must talk about stigmatization. At times, they can reform, but society brings them back. A typical example, somebody was discharged from prison. He went home. His wife is gone. The room that he's sharing in his house had been rented out. He didn't have anywhere to sleep. He was sleeping at in front of somebody's room in the house. Now everything that gets missing in the house, it is him, because he just came out of prison. So eventually he has to leave and was roaming on the street. And you know, when you don't feel accepted, you join people who accept you. And that's what crime keep repeating itself. People just keep reoffending because society has never forgiven people who hurt us. If you are able to change our attitude towards the prisoners, things will be all right. One of the things too that we are doing is that we don't want to sit down and wait for people to commit crimes and come in. Nowadays, in our prisons, about 35% of the inmates are below the ages of above the age of 18 up to 35. That's the youth population. You see, these are people who should be working, who have started life, who should be in school and all that. And we are losing them a lot in large numbers. So we have decided to go on the street, to go to the schools, secondary schools, universities, and primary schools, and JHS and all those places, to talk about crime and its impact. I remember we went to one of the schools. We showed a video of how the prisoners sleep. You can find that on the internet. And the students in the secondary school, they started crying. And for me, I felt that was, yes, the message. You see, it is so important to us. It is rather for us to prevent crime than to sit back and watch them come in before we start to reform them. So this is something that is catching up in Sunyani, in most of the regions where we have our chaplains.
Before I ask you how you are measuring all these impacts that you are putting out there to deter people in coming here to be reformed, someone will say, if inmates are not coming, it means that prison officers have no job to do.
Actually, we will be happy. For some of us, we'll be happy we don't have any job to do when we see that society has become so crime-free, like we have in Netherlands and some places in Europe, where prisons are being closed down almost every year. We have a number of prisons, but there was a time we closed down about 3 prisons: Osherford, the Anomabo one, and Jamesford. And it was a very good thing to close down a prison. But now we have had a lot of overcrowding. So the Church of Pentecost is building others for us. And it is the state of the art. This one, it has every facilities that you want as a prison officer to work with the inmates. And the inmates that are going to those new prisons, we are seeing transformation in their lives. So this is where we are. Chaplaincy work in the prison is so crucial. Without religious activities, I don't think the prison service will be able to survive, because the impact that we are having with inmates, with officers, with the dependence of inmates, dependence of officers, and the community around us, that is our fivefold ministry. We have a ministry to the inmates, their dependents, ministry to the officers, the dependents of the officers, and we have a ministry to the community around us. And so these are the fivefold ministry of a chaplain in a Ghana prison service. And we are not taking anything for granted. And I know the Lord is doing so much in the prisons. At times when I don't go to church and I go to the prisons for our programs, I enjoy the inmates, their zeal in worship and their prayer time and everything. That you go to the free world, into the churches where they say let's sing. Some people are sitting down, they don't sing. Here we sing together, we dance together, we do everything together. I've always maintained that prison is a second home for everybody. You don't know what will take you there.
I don't wish to go to the house.
But somebody slapped his in-law and he was sentenced to 5 years.
Wow.
Just a slap. And the judge said that, when you slap your in-law, the tooth came out. So for every tooth, you are going for 1 year. And guess what? 4 came out. Then the crime itself 1 year. So 5 years. And so anything can happen. I've always, when I joined the service some years back, a story was told by a man who said he came home and the son of about 8 months rushed to come and embrace him. And so as a father, they lifted up the child. There was a fan. He was telling us, also, being in prison is not even painful than. It wasn't his fault. It just rejoicing as a father, lifting. We all do. When you have children running to us, we want to embrace them, we raise them. Those we can carry, we carry them and turn them around and all that. So anything can happen, and you find yourself in. Somebody went to visit a friend in his home, not knowing they were dealing in drugs there in that house. He was just sitting there. The police came and arrested all of them. Even when the friends were saying that, oh, he is not part of us, he was sent in. At least he spent about 3 months before they realized that he was not part of it. So prison can be anybody's home.
How do we measure all these things that we are putting out to know whether we are on the right track as chaplaincy in the service?
Reoffending rate in the prisons used to be, in those days, used to be about 67%. People go out and they come back. In those days, the prison service has only 2 chaplains and 1 imam. But when they open up for the chaplaincy to be established and more chaplains came in, and with other programs that the service has put in place, we realized that the reoffending rate as at today have dropped from 67. As at today that we are talking about, the reoffending rate has come to about 27%.
That's very.
It keeps reducing over the years until now. And we don't intend to let it go up. Because the prison service has put in place, we have schools from the basic up to university. We have skill training for inmates. So any inmate that comes out of our prison will have a skill. And so the people that come out of prison, at least if they are not academically sound and they have certificates from any of the universities, they have skills. And apart from that too, the spiritual formation that we are giving them is also making an impact. The Bible schools have raised a lot of pastors who have come out. We give them to the churches of their choice. Some of them get ordained. Some of them are working as church workers and volunteers, and they are doing very well in society.
We are glad that all the things we are putting in place is working and we're getting the output. I once heard of this story, or it has been a story that we all know, that one man called Atai that we all know has now become a preacher man of God, and for that matter, a strong one who is committed to the activities or the works of God. I want you to confirm for me and how we relate to the story of inmates that come out from prisons and then they change their life. And we know that always society will come against them, but how to be steadfast and resilient to cross that path to get to his position, I should put it, can help us.
Yeah, I tell you, it's serving a very long sentence. In fact, over 100 years. It's 116 years. Various crimes. And he is now in our custody in Ankafo prison. And the first time I saw him, he was at Insawam. That was the first time. That's over 7 years ago. That's where I met him. And because my brother is Ayi, and when he got to know that I have a brother called Ayi, he started calling me a big brother. And so since he spoke Ga, so there are a lot of things that make people commit crime. And one of them is society neglect. When people don't have anyone. The story I heard was that his parents died in an accident. And he has 2 siblings. And he was the elderly one. So they were left alone. Their, parents' properties had been taken and everything. Nobody was caring for them. It got to a point that he has to take care of his two siblings. So he fell among bad not. And that's how he rose among them to become the hard not. All this while he was sending his two siblings to school. And they have all completed university. I'm not condoning crime. But people die and leave their children in our society. And what do we do? And so it is difficult. That is a story. I hear that he's putting some stories together about his life. And I can't wait for the time that it will come up for everybody to read. Because many a time society we are those who form at times criminals. Because many of us have what it takes to help somebody, but we will not. We will not do it. In our churches, we have young people in our churches who are struggling. We have managers of companies and other, all in our churches, but we don't support the young people coming up. It's like we are in competition with them. And one of the tags that we place on them, amebumo, omwade, and all that. But the thing is that if that person is your own, will you have just jumped into that conclusion and left the person to his fate? And so it's our time that we, as children of God, should look at these areas. Make sure that if we can help our young people, we should go ahead and help them. Because if you don't do, they will come back. They will go on the street, they are accepted, they will turn around and will give us sleepless nights. That's why we are all living in prisons. When we build a house, we build long walls and put barbed wires on top of it and all that. It's prison, typical prison. So you are in the prison in your home because you are afraid that somebody may attack you. So we all have something to do, a lot to do.
It is important to talk about what the future is looking for Ghana Prison Service in terms of where you sit as a chaplain general to enhance the spirituality or the religious aspects of inmates as they come out. We can affirm that statistics is decreasing in various forms of, should I put, activities that lead to people coming to prison and they are coming in and going out and all of that. What are the clear plans of the Ghana Prison Service, in fact, where you sit as a chaplain general in moving forward?
In fact, the plans are many. We have a charter that governs the Ghana Prison Service and a charter that governs all the units in the service. And the chaplaincy, one of the things is to ensure that inmates are helped spiritually, mentally, and physically. And these are the areas that we concentrate. Spiritually, we help to form them. Mentally, we do our best with the help of the counselors and the psychologists that we have in the system. A lot of officers are psychologists and counselors, and many of our chaplains too are counselors, and they come together to help mold them physically, spiritually, and mentally. Then physically, we introduce them into society. Many of them has been, just as I said from the onset, we have a plan of reintegrating them, and that is spearheaded by the chaplaincy. because we give them to the churches. Now, I don't want to mention some churches, some of the mega churches in Accra. A lot of the laborers there, a lot of the cleaners, a lot of the caretakers are inmates, and they are doing so well. You see, and we look at the character. Definitely, if you are a men's woman, you have some of the inmates, no matter what you do, they will go and do it and come back again. They have taken, some of them are taking them as that as their profession. So, but we have majority of them that go out there and live well, and they don't come back into prison. So now what we intend to do is that to prevent people from coming into prison, with the programs to go out there and talk about the conditions in the prisons. So, but many of the programs that we have, we are limited, we are challenged by funding. A lot of corporate organizations will not want to have anything to do with prisons. They prefer to go to orphanage. I'm happy about that. They prefer to sponsor Miss Ghana and other pageants and other things. I don't have anything about it. But in Australia, for instance, all the car number plates of that country is produced in the prison. Corporate world doing PPP with the prisons, and they are producing a whole lot of things. A lot of clothing are produced in the prison. In fact, if you go to Sydney, the national flag of Australia is produced in the prison. Nobody is allowed to produce that apart from the prisons. So you go to the prison and go and buy if you want a flag. And the prisons have shops. The prisons have laundry companies that they go to people's home, go and pick their things, bring it to the prison on a commercial basis. You pay a little bit and it's done for you. This is where we want to get to. I was telling somebody the other time, I used to be at the Boston Institute, now the Senior Correctional Cell. Do you know the dual desk that the schools use now was created by the Boston Institute? Yes. That dual desk was created by us. Inmates and officers came together and created that design. In fact, the original one even is a bit bigger than what we have now. What we have now is too small. There's no comfort. The bigger one has drawers here and there, so that the students can take their can keep their books there. And it was taken over. Now nobody is giving us a contract. We have the workshops there. Nobody is giving us a contract. Society have taken it from us. Anything produced in prison, people have some perception about it. Unless we change our perception.
We couldn't touch on the challenges that you're facing, but you did so well in fusing in that corporate bodies are not helping. They prefer the glamour and other things to do. In as much as it is okay, it is also better to help our inmates to become very resourceful to the country in terms of production. You stated earlier that the crime rate has majority of the youth in terms of percentage, that is from 18 to 35. Currently, we are entering into a festive season, and most importantly, we are getting closer to our election year. What advice would you give to the youth as we celebrate the festive season, and then again as we look forward to election year in terms of crime?
Now, the first thing I would say is stay away from crime. Check the people you call your friends and know them very well, know what they do. Because a lot of the young people in prison because of their friends, the type of crowd they get themselves into. And it's like this generation listen to their friends more than their parents. And it's sending a lot of them into prisons. Crimes are being committed here and there by the young people because, one, they want to get rich quickly. They see somebody who have struggled so many years and the person is riding in the nice Mercedes Benz and we want to get there in the next 2 years. You see, it is something that we need to look at. Let's go through life gradually. When you work hard, you study hard, God will bless you, you get a good job, you work hard, you will get whatever you are supposed to get. Crime should not be so attractive to people. Prison is not a place, especially prison in Africa, is not a place that you want to go. So as we get closer to the Christmas festivities, please stay out of crime. Please listen to the elderly in society. They have experience. Stay out of crime. When you see a friend doing something that you feel that is not good, please. And those young people who are quick-tempered, please, wakoma hawa, check it. Maybe you need help. If you are quick-tempered, it's a sickness. People go to see psychologists for them to be helped because that quick-temperedness will land you into prison. Crime is not a good thing. As we get into the election year, my advice to all the young people, when the politician wants you to do something, make sure that his family members are part of it. His children are part of it. He himself is part of it. We follow politicians and we get into trouble. Every election year, prison get crowded with people who, under the disguise of politics, they commit crime. When you commit crime, the best the politician you are following will do for you to come and visit you in prison or give you a lawyer. Even that, if you are not lucky. That is all. But crime is crime. We are all showing our preference. I have somebody I like, I want to vote for. I have somebody who have a good policy, I want to follow and vote for the person. That doesn't mean that now I should be fighting you for disagreeing with me. Politics is not about fight. Politics is about getting the right people to serve us. So please, let's go into 2024 knowing that we are family first. And let's not fight. Let's not commit crimes in society. And at the end of the day, we all become one people with a common destiny.
Maybe you have any other final words, or this will be your final discussion.
I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year. This year has not been as we expected, but I know for sure that God has a plan for his people. The Bible says that he came to dwell among his people. And the indwelling of God among his people brought to bear the peace of God. It brought to bear peace among rivals and people of diverse background. You can tell from the disciples of Jesus, they were from diverse background. But when the Son of God came to dwell among us, he brought peace. And I pray for the peace of God to be with each and every one of you. Celebrate Christmas. Christmas is not an holiday period. It's a celebration of the Christ who have come to dwell among us. The world is changing the celebration into holiday. It is not that. Christmas is a celebration of the King of Kings dwelling among us and bringing us peace. God bless you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
We'll be speaking to Adp Rev'D Canon Selwyn Adp Okai. And out of the conversations, there are key things that we as Ghanaians or corporate bodies needs to always remember or keep in our hearts. That as many times as possible, if we want to do good, we have to bear in mind that there's a section that will need it most, or there are people that will need it most as compared to others, in as much as we need it all. He also touched on us being cautious as we head towards Christmas festivities and the election year, because trust me, the prisons are always full and facilities is always not able to accommodate everybody. My name is Na Anima. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you again another time. Bye-bye for now.